Wow. Sunny Haifa, like coming home. I was born in Haifa, and my dad was a professor at the Technion. We're here today to visit Professor Aharon Ciechanover of the Technion Medical School. Hi, Checha. That's short for Professor Aharon Ciechanover?
It's short for half of my last name, of Ciechanover.
Half of your last name. Well, first of all, thank you very much for hosting us here at the Technion and taking the time to speak to some of our students.
You're most welcome.
Thank you. You've been referred to as the person who discovered the garbage truck of the cell. Can you explain?
Yes, indeed. What we discovered is a system that disposes faulty, inactivated, misfolded, mutated proteins that, if accumulated in the cells, are harmful. And there must be a mechanism that will remove them, and that's the system that we discovered. And proteins, as we all know, are extremely sensitive structure. They are sensitive to all kinds of modification, and they are easily get inactivated, misfolded, or genetic mutations. There must be an online mechanism that will detect them and remove them online.
One of the things that we've been talking about in the past during the course is that when you accumulate aberrant proteins, this can be deleterious and cause disease. Is that the case as well?
Indeed. Think about oncogenes. Oncogenes are mutated protein. Normally they should be removed. The system fails to recognize them, they accumulate. And there are many other examples that we are accumulating in the cells, protein that should be removed are not removed and therefore cause damage. And the damage in the clinical language is called disease.
Well, but there are a lot of proteins in the cells. So what allows you to select those that need to be thrown out to trash?
That's the beauty of the system. It's an awfully complicated system, and it specifically recognizes proteins that something happened to them.
Checha, this is fascinating. And tell me, can you elaborate a bit about the mechanisms, how this actually occurs?
Yeah, the mechanism is rather complex. It's not as simple as...
So make it simple for me.
Yeah, so first of all, we identify the thief. So we identify the abnormal protein. Once we identify the abnormal protein, we catch it, and then we attach to it a molecule called ubiquitin, which the Nobel Committee called the kiss of death.
I see.
So this molecule signals the protein, the tagged protein, the victim, to its final destination. Once ubiquitin, this molecule, is attached to you, you are identified by the scissors. And the scissors are called the proteasome. And then the proteasome comes and cuts you into tiny small pieces. Now, we know that proteins are made of bricks, of building blocks. And the building blocks are called amino acids. There are 20 amino acids. So here comes the proteasome. Only after you are marked by ubiquitin, we can bring a metaphor. Let's think about the death row in the Huntsville prison in Texas, when they give the people on the death row an orange coat or an orange dress. So you know that you are on the death code, you are not dead yet, but you are marked for death. So that's what ubiquitin is doing. And then come the scissors and cut you into the building block. And the building blocks are recycled. You can recycle them and reuse them. Let's think that you have an old building and you need to destroy it and to build a new instead. You can take the blocks that make the building and put them back into the new building. The blocks are okay. The single blocks are okay.
So you're a prophet. Not only did you talk about trash disposal, but you also got into recycling.
Exactly. We are in a green environment. The body is the ultimate green machine.
Excellent. Basically, if you understand the molecular mechanisms of trash disposal, can that be exploited ultimately to try to come up with new solutions, new drugs, new medications?
Indeed, and that's what has happened, is happening, and will happen even in a much bigger way in the future. There are already several drugs in the market that are based on our discovery, mostly against malignancies, because in malignancies, those are the diseases in which those accumulated proteins cause most of the damage. Blood malignancies like multiple myeloma, certain types of leukemia, and they are very successful drugs that in some cases change the complete clinical landscape of the disease. And take, for example, multiple myeloma, that is a disease of the immune blood cells, of lymphocytes.
Sure.
It was when I was a medical student, I don't want even to mention how many years before, the disease was completely changed as far as its prognosis, the prospects of the disease. And from a deadly disease that people died after diagnosis, 2 to 3 years into diagnosis with agony. People are now living, first of all, some of them are cured completely, and many are living 10 and 15 years with no symptoms, high quality of life, complete change in the course of the disease.
I see. And is it limited only to blood cancers or other solid tumors, for example?
They are trying now, because only new, they are trying now, and I hope that cancer and blood cancer is not the last word, and people are moving very quickly with new technologies that are just being evolved these days to neurodegenerative disease, inflammatory disease, bowel diseases, and so on and so forth. So the map is going to broaden dramatically in the future.
So, Checha, thank you very, very much.
You're most welcome.